All right, look, when a ChatGPT generated unicorn on Solana does a 300% pump in 1 month, you either ignore it or you grab a coffee, you open up the chart, and ask the only real question:
You serious?
is this thing worth chasing? That's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to break down Pippin. No, not Scottie Pippen, but Pippin, the AI unicorn meme coin that just 3x'd in 30 days. We'll hit the narrative, we'll hit the tokenomics, the tech, the market structure, the exit risk. I'll talk about why it's caught a bid recently. And in the end, I'll give it a score out of 100 and sort of which bucket it lands in, all that good stuff. Let's hunt. So first off, what the hell is Pippin? Pippin is sort of a three-headed beast. I mean, it's supposed to be a unicorn, I think. It kind of looks like a dog.
What?
This is the ChatGPT generated like original image. So it is a unicorn, but whatever. It's abstract, let's put it that way. But it's an AI-driven, always on digital being that lives on X. So the name is Pippin Loves You, and it doesn't just tweet on a timer. It runs a sort of internal loop of activities like walking, napping, reflecting, and posting based on its mood and energy. So pretty cool. It's got an interesting take to the whole meme coin venture, and we'll get into sort of some of the backstory, which I thought was really interesting. But it's also obviously now a token. It's a Solana meme coin. It was born on Pump.fun, as a lot of them are, that the community and eventually the founder wrapped around this sort of character that you have here. And then there's the PIPPIN framework, which is an evolution of BabyAGI, which you can check out this article. I'll link it in the description about kind of what it is and how it works. It's basically a framework that's designed to let anyone build their own digital beings with a persona, tools like memory, and some self-serving behaviors.
Oh my.
The key name here and the founder that I mentioned is Yohei Nakajima. Now, I'm probably screwing up his name, so again, apologies for that. But he's the guy behind not only Pippin and the account, but also behind BabyAGI. So this is his account here. And BabyAGI is one of the first autonomous agents that went viral back in all the way in March 2023. It pulled tens of thousands of GitHub stars and academic citations. This guy is a legit AI and VC builder. He's not just some anonymous frog on X. He is doing the work, which has been super impressive. You can look at his GitHub and it's stellar. And I mean, he's active, he's coding, and everything is basically in here that he does. This is the Pippin moves framework itself. You could take a look at it in your own time. But regardless, it's got a good founder and someone who actually knows the code, how to do it, how to build things. And the origin story is sort of peak 2025. So Yohei asked ChatGPT to draw an SVG unicorn. ChatGPT names it Pippin. The internet, being the internet, launches a Pippin meme coin on Solana. It was not launched by Yohei. Yohei goes, okay, fine, buys some, and then adopts the project, turning the unicorn into a 24/7 AI influencer and building a full AI agent framework behind it. So I love the backstory here. On top of that, they wrap the whole thing in a philosophy called Pippinian naturalism. Say Pippinian 5 times straight. All right, think like transcendentalism with Taoism with a little mix of stoicism in it, all the isms, but for a kind of wobbly on-chain unicorn. The project leans into sort of gentleness, mindfulness, community, and this idea that human emotions in the human sphere ripple into Pippin's world, the wobbly woods, quote unquote, which you can see kind of stuff about it on the website here in terms of the origin story, where Pippin kind of reflects these things back into the universe. It's weirdly wholesome for something trading 24/7 on leverage. And importantly, the Pippin character and the lore are public domain. So anybody can use the image, build games, merch, spin-offs, or tools without asking permission. I mean, there's even bedtime stories based around Pippin, which is absolutely insane. So the narrative at a high level for Pippin is the AI unicorn, the BabyAGI heritage, the CCO brand, which is just the no IP public domain portion, and then the gentle philosophy. And then you add the Solana casino. I mean, this thing gets, in my opinion, some real weight behind it. So I really love the narrative. I gave it a super strong score, 17 out of 20. And before we go into the tokenomics and supply, let's talk about why this pumped recently. So we'll take a look at the chart really quick, just so I can show you on a month. If you zoom out, it's a little bit, it is what it is. Looks like a standard meme coin. But in the last month, you can see it's caught a bid. And the recent move isn't just number go up. There's a few very concrete catalysts that I found. And if you have other news, definitely post it in the comments. But Biconomy launched an $8,000 PIPPIN trading competition from November 29th to December 9th. So there's the incentive for sort of wash volume, degens, and people chasing the leaderboard, basically. Binance Alpha and perp markets, Pippin became one of the top gainers on Binance Alpha, even as Bitcoin has been dumping and the fear and greed has been in the 20s and 10s. Then there's some short squeeze dynamics behind this thing as well. There was negative funding, there was high open interest, and millions in shorts got liquidated that fed kind of this recent rocket that we've had. So those were kind of the catalysts in terms of why this thing moved or pumped recently. And let's take a look at the actual tokenomics and supply here, because there's 1 billion Pippin, and I think some of the numbers are kind of interesting here in terms of the circulating supply. Basically, the full supply is circulating. So there's no cliffs, there's no unlocks that you have to worry about. The market cap is still in kind of micro cap territory with 174 million, which is great. It launched originally, like I mentioned, on pump.fund, but now trades on a bunch of centralized and decentralized exchanges. So it has the liquidity. I don't have super clear public breakdowns on how much sits with sort of early whales and things like that, but you can dig that up doing some on-chain sleuthing yourself. I think the tokenomics here at a high level are simple and degen friendly, but don't confuse the no unlock schedule with no bag holder risk, because there definitely is some, and we will take a look at the chart analysis at the end. Regardless, for tokenomics and supply, I gave it a 13 out of 20, and we can move on to the tech and execution. So what does this thing actually do, if anything? Again, you kind of have the backstory here. There are some community and tools, but basically the framework itself is kind of just a robust extension of BabyAGI. So you can look up babyagi.org, and there's some quick starts here. It's basically a Python repository, so you can install this, use it yourself, have it post to X, et cetera, et cetera. The main thing to think about here is that you define a character, right? So there's some personality, some goals, some constraints. Then you plug in skills, which are external tools and APIs like social media, blockchain, whatever, custom services. The agent then runs a loop. It chooses activities, executes those, reflects, writes new activities if needed, and it maintains memory and state. So a lot of that is just like, it's just an AI that can live by itself. It can post, it can walk, it can nap, it can reflect, and obviously you see it here in the Pippin Loves You account. So there are already some GitHub repos, which I showed, nothing too crazy here. You can take a look at them yourself if you want to kind of recreate it. So tech-wise, the breakdown is, yes, there's real code. There's a real coder and VC guy behind this, and there's a clear conceptual architecture, which is really, really good. We don't really have a killer app yet built on the framework, right? There is Pippin, the unicorn itself, and a lot of what's written is still kind of aspirational, if you ask me. But from a tech angle, this is far above the kind of your average meme coin, but it's still kind of in the experimentation phase. So for that, I gave it a 14 out of 20 for tech and execution. We can talk about market structure and liquidity really, really quick. This thing is super liquid. Obviously, it just had a 3x move, 3.5x pretty much move. So the market cap has jumped. And again, it's around 17 cents per token, so still very cheap nominally wise. And the market cap could give it a ton of room to run potentially. This is a momentum Solana coin, but with this cool lore and backstory and some actual tech, which I really like. Regardless, liquidity, super liquid, 15 out of 20. Exit risk and VC stakes, there's nothing even really to score here. There's no VC. Like I said, it's fully diluted. It's now run by Yohei. And I just gave it a middle down the line score, 10 out of 20 for exit risk and VC stakes, right? The only thing that was kind of a red flag for me was the pump.fund origin. But again, someone just kind of launched it. He took it over, and that's that. That gives us a final score before we go into the chart of 69 out of 100. This is your typical high risk, high reward. For a meme coin, this is a really good score. Let me just put it out there. Bitcoin would score, let's say 95 or 98 on my system. Ethereum would score like 94, 93, something like that. And then down the chain you go. For a meme coin, 70 or 75 is basically the cap. So this is a really high score. And I really like this project. I think, again, it's super interesting. not just because of Pippin himself and sort of this just character that was generated, but because of kind of the BabyAGI spin and the narrative, the person behind it, who is a really respectable, not only VC kind of founder, but also deep in the tech and understands it, this thing could rip for sure. So let's take a look at the chart and we'll close this out. So here is the Pippin chart. Now, doing analysis on this kind of thing is sort of hard, but there were a few things that stuck out to me right away. Again, this is on a logarithmic timescale, and you can see what is clear, at least to me, that this latest pump is very much a Elliott wave, your typical 5-wave impulse. And we just did 1, we retraced back to 2, and now we're at 3. And if you sort of do the fib retracements here, I think it's fairly standard to see kind of where we hit. So wave 3, could it still go up to 27 cents? Potentially, but if it stops in this zone, that would make a lot of sense. We retrace not back below. This is the way it would be invalidated. If this correction goes deeper than 1, this count is invalid and it's pretty much over. So you're really looking for something like this. And the reason that I extended the 5th and last wave to the highs is because back in 2025 January, so earlier this year, a lot of people got caught up here and are bag holding. So there is going to be a lot of sell pressure coming into this area, right? Where you basically have sort of the reverse here, which is a huge kind of supply zone on the bottom end of the range. So this is your typical kind of mean reversion meme coin. What you would really want to see to have outstanding outperformance is we basically end up just sort of consolidating here at the top and then break out to new all-time highs and to price discovery. That's really what you would want to see. But until that actually happens, I would be cautious, right? You're basically trying to get the last squeeze of this juice by hoping that it goes on a 5th wave. Again, now could I be totally wrong? For sure. We could actually hit, sort of up here in terms of wave 3, come back down, go back up, and we're good. But again, if we at any point break below, in my opinion, this yellow line, then you're probably looking at this rally sort of being over. And if you really do like the project and like the coin, getting in anywhere in this area would probably be a good bet if you're thinking of holding this long term for whatever reason. So anyway, that's my analysis. Kind of hard to figure out a sort of perfect way to play this, but that's how I would look at it at a high level. Again, don't risk anything on these types of coins that you aren't okay with losing. All the meme coins are super speculative, especially with how Bitcoin has been doing, and all of my systems currently pointing to a risk-off regime. If you're interested in some of my Bitcoin macro investing stuff that I do primarily as what I focus this channel on, I do my weekly Bitcoin macro war room breakdown on Fridays. So definitely check that out if you're interested. Otherwise, if you made it with me this far, first of all, thank you so much for sticking it out with me, for watching the video. I really do appreciate it. If you did like the video, you know what to do. Do it or don't. I don't really care, but it would help my channel a lot. And as always, I'll see you next time for the next breakdown. Have a great day out there. Cheers.